Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is the Papa Joe Patreon show with Papa Joe, and I am joined with Ken Bosak. What's going on, Ken? How you doing today?
Goes well. How goes it, bro?
It is fantastic. I am enjoying the weather out here. I know you down where you're at is probably hot and humid as all get out, but it's up here in the. It's just that way in the southeast. It's just hot and humid this time of year, and it gets worse as the years summer goes
It
on.
might be hot, but it's nice, man. It's 90,
It is.
but it has that Miami breeze to it, so it just hits different. Like when I look at the weather app on my phone and I see that 90 or whatever, I'm like, oh, but then you go outside and you're like, oh,
Yep.
okay, this
It
is
feels good.
nice.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah,
good.
90 in like New Jersey where I used to live, not the same.
Nope.
90 where I live now here in Miami, it's beautiful. It's even nice on like when it's 60 out, it's like weirdly perfect weather. Miami, I don't know how they do it, but
It's just the way it hits. I don't know, especially at night, like down there. Dude. The coolness. It's nice. It feels good. It's just chill. It's really nice. You go sit out, have a nice dinner, whatnot, nice drink, whatever, and just kind of chill out.
that's why I hate eating in restaurants here. I love the al fresco vibe. Whenever I
Yep.
go out to eat, I like to go out and eat out. Wow, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like I don't want to
Right.
go in the building and get that air conditioner and all
Yep.
that circulated air, or
Well,
recycled air. I
yep.
want that fresh breeze.
Yep. Well, down where you are, man, there's tons of stuff. You can be walking on the beach, just walk right up and go have a meal and just
Yeah,
chill out.
yeah.
It's nice. I love it.
It's I never lived anywhere where it was like a vacation based environment. So I've never really lived in a place I've gone to when I vacation. And it never clicked that like that place it's always on vacation. It's
Yeah.
not just on vacation when I'm on vacation there. So
Yep.
now that I live in Miami, it's like, oh, it's always on vacation. There's just always something else.
That's
And
what it
it's
feels
very
like.
like crypto centric too. So there's a lot of crypto pop-ups, meetups, events. Dude, there was like a conference the other day at FTX Arena. It was like it came and went so fast. I didn't even know it was a thing until it was like a thing. I'm like, there's so much happening in Miami crypto wise. It's kind of cool to see every day something's happening.
It's kind of become the crypto capital of the world. I like to think, or at least the US are trying to get it. Like with Bitcoin 2022, they had that big ass bull out there and all that stuff. They're trying to.
Oh, that big ass bull's still out here. It's
I'm
out and
sure it
about.
is.
It's in Miami. Yeah, I've seen it in different spots on my scooter
Oh,
driving
really?
by, and people taking pictures with it. Yeah, this is way after the conference, mind you. So it's
Nice.
still out here. I don't know. I think the artist wasn't too excited with like something. I can't remember what happened. I came across an article about like the artist wasn't like too happy about the turnout of like the bull or whatever of his art, and I think he took it on tour. And I don't know, I've seen people all around Miami in different spots like taking pictures with it and not knowing like it's like crypto related, just thinking
Sure.
it's like dope art.
Yeah. Well, the dude should have put some crypto symbolism on it, some bitcoins, some litecoins, whatever. Just people will look at it and go, "Oh, yeah, digital bull. I get it. Yeah, kind
Well,
of
this
like
is where the foundations should have a proposal submitted. A lot of
sure,
these projects have proposal systems that are abused for everything but something worthy of it, right? So
right?
somebody should put up a proposal to get this artist to make them their own, crypto bull.
You know what? Maybe we can get some of the folks around the world. Maybe Bukele might want one in El Salvador or something like that, right there at the capital.
See, exactly. Now you're seeing what I'm seeing when I see artists do stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like I would love to see them do more. And
Sure.
yeah, I would love to see that artist. I don't know. It'd be cool to see like a crypto Bitcoin kangaroo in Australia or something.
Right? That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So I was gonna say, for my listeners, those people, my wife, for example, is listening. She's never met you or anything. So who is Ken Bosak? What does Ken do? What are you working on right now? Things like that.
Yeah, I am the enthusiast. I have
Yeah, you
always,
are.
kind of been an end user of new and cool things, even before crypto. Yeah. So who am I? I guess I'm just like a roadie, right? I've been to over hundreds and hundreds of conferences in the past couple of years since 2017. I got into Bitcoin the end of 2015. So during the year of 2016, I was accumulating, stacking sats.
Yes.
Then after that, 2017, I kind of just took off from home and never really went back. I
Sure.
I would say close to 300 conferences. So I've met every
Cool. Wow.
single thought leader in the space. I've shaken hands with CZ, Justin Sun. I've had drinks with Charles Hoskins. I've had, I got to hang out with Dorian Nakamoto.
Nice.
So like I'm just like that guy that might be in the background of all the cool pictures people look back and when they go in the
There's
history books
Bosak.
of Bitcoin. Yeah, I'll be that guy in the background of all the damn pictures. I've even weaseled my way on the stages that had the likes of Steve Wozniak speak on it before, and
Fantastic, dude.
so yeah, it's been a cool run, but I'm just like that enthusiast. I'm an end user. I don't like to say I'm an expert. I like to use the example of
Right.
I know how to pop popcorn in the microwave, but I don't know how the microwave pops the popcorn.
Sure.
I know how to use Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin broke, I'm waiting for a Vitalik to come and fix it.
That's kind of where we kind of cut from the same cloth, man. I mean, I've been in this space just about, well, since late 2011, but I was one of the earlier miners and stuff like that. But I'm a user of it, right? I want the blockchain and whatnot to be advanced and things like that. But I'm more technical on the side, like how does the microwave work? That's kind of what I kind of get into. So
Right,
kind
so
of
you can
cool.
kind of fix those components when they break. Me, I'm calling people like you. I had the chance to mine early on. People sent me all kinds of like equipment and stuff, and I kind of just gave it to a friend because like I don't know. I used the analogy for like hunting deer and eating jerky. Like I'd much rather just eat the jerky from somebody who enjoys the hunt, because if you don't
Yep.
enjoy the hunt, you won't enjoy the outcome, right? And I
Yep.
figured if I was a miner and I didn't enjoy that practice, no matter what I was gaining from it, it would be a loss. So I just avoided it. And I've seen people that didn't do that regret it. And so speaking to people that are interested, if you are interested in mining, do it because it's a sport that you will love. But if you're not interested, don't force yourself into it.
Yep, yep. So that's one of the things. Like I got out of it whenever I was. I think I stopped playing around with. Well, and actually, technically, I actually haven't stopped. I still have equipment. I have a whole server rack full of stuff still. But
Once a miner, always a miner, right?
yeah, kind of, sort of. It's kind of the way it works, right? But I had one. I had a Bitcoin node running at once that I was actually solo mining against that. This was back when. This was back before Seedword, so I had hard drives die with thousands of Bitcoin on it and stuff like that in the past. This is one of those like I can't not do it anymore. It's like once you've tasted it or done it, and once you figured it out, like that tinkering side of my brain at least is just kind of like, so this is how this works. This is how this is gonna, and then you just start to see it happen and proceed. Like, but for me, like it was never for that whole. I never wanted to do it for the monetary aspect. Back then, it wasn't a monetary aspect. I didn't even realize there was a price associated to this stuff. I was like, this is going
Oh,
to
wow.
fundamentally change how we as humanity. I was learning blockchain. When I figured out what blockchain technology was and the distributed systems pieces of it, I was like, this is going to change everything. Like globally, this is going to change everything, just like the
What
internet
was some of
did.
like the
Yep.
what was like some of the first industries you thought it was going to change? Since we have kind of like that early perspective, we've had like that early what's it going to look like? We know now what it was or what it is, but what did you think would be like an industry that was going to adopt this and sooner and change it?
The earlier adoption, not necessarily. I initially when I was sitting there working through everything, I was like, okay, so if we, because at the time I had just started working for one of the world's largest supply chain companies. So I was learning all of their different things and what they were building for different industries, different retailers, different whatevers. And then hit blockchain, and I was like, this is going to fundamentally change supply chain. Well, supply chain at that point was not ready for that kind of innovation. Any kind of disruptive innovation, it is blockchain technology is very disruptive. And if you take it to any supply chain guys, they're going to look at this and they're going to go, how do I do this? How does this? How does this? And you just
Yeah.
start explaining it to them, and then they start
Supply chains
realizing,
are fragile, man. They're really fragile, and they've been
right.
working on the same archaic system because of their fragility.
The ERG or EGR or something. I don't remember. There's a main hub that all say retailers or anyone who does anything amongst each other that they all communicate through, where their orders and their cells and the whatnot is like a main hub. And I'm sitting here going, how do you get rid of an old system? It's a dinosaur system that can't be updated, etc. How do you get rid of it? You build a net new one, and then you slowly move pieces over to it, and then you start once you start getting different people, just from the different things that I've done, the proof of concepts that I've done, the different people that have been, or different companies have been brought on board with it, it's one of those like light bulb moments for them, and it starts to spread like wildfire. They're like, we can save money. This is automated. This is almost like a piece of AI that we can stand up a machine learning against it and let it automatically change that the smart contract to automatically execute these typical things that get bogged down with human error. They get bogged down with, just simple weather stuff, something blocking it, whatever. You can have things monitoring and adjusting and constantly flowing, which is what a supply chain should be. And whenever I was mining it earlier on, I was like, this is going to change that. And my mind went everywhere. Some of the examples I just gave you were just like, boom, my mind exploded. I literally sat for 2 or 3 days and just kind of put start to finish what everything would look like from a timeline of a single order. And it just kind of, my mind just blew up at that point. And then I went on to like medical record stuff, and then I went into like title stuff. And I always thought there would be one day we'd be buying and selling homes using blockchains, and now we have NFTs. Now we have a digital representation of a home on a blockchain, right? And that is
we're petri dishing, experimenting with in the metaverse, what we're going to do in the physical world. I definitely went down the supply chain rabbit hole as well, but that was later on. I think maybe like a year or two after I got into crypto, so it wasn't like one of my earlier like epiphanies of like, whoa, this is industry changing. But I was talking to Vitalik at a Crypto Chicks conference his mom put together. So it's like mom threw a conference. So like I didn't like sneak in, but I like snuck in, and like his mom kicked me out like by the ear kind of style. Like, no jokes, this really happened to me. Like, yeah, like she personally escorted me off the premises because I didn't pay for a ticket. But after I talked to Vitalik and Vlad out front and stuff, she let me back in, and we were hanging out. I was like, I'd totally buy a ticket, but like I just thought y'all invited me when you said like, hey, we're doing this thing.
Hey, come.
I didn't think you were just like saying, hey, we're doing. I thought you invited me, so I just showed up. I didn't think like you didn't send me a link to buy a ticket. Like you DM'd me. So anyway, I talked to him about it, and it comes down to IoT, dude. The Internet of Things, those physical sensors and devices. Because with supply chain, the real problem is us. The human intervention in it is garbage in, garbage out. And until we get that IoT, supply chain can't take that leap to anything. It's really coming down to like, it's like chicken and the egg. We have the egg. The egg's already here. It's like we have blockchain, but the chicken needs to be built. That thing that can make the egg make sense. Where did it come from? And it's going to have to be a lot of these plugins.
Sure. Have you seen Ambrosis at all? Have you looked at them?
Ambrosis? No, but I like the name. It sounds like bread.
Let me move this up. My wife makes homemade bread, by the way. I'm bringing that up. So I was craving it earlier. So they actually...
I love bread.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna have to see if she'll make you some. That'd be kind of cool.
Sourdough, please, and thank you.
She's not done sourdough yet. It's all whole wheat. It's still fantastic, though. Absolutely fantastic. If my sister-in-law does sourdough, but my wife has been wanting to do sourdough. But now I'm hungry. Why'd you?
Yeah, see, it's their name, Ambrosis. Like, it just makes me hungry. I like the name.
So yeah, you talk about IoT, right? So they're actually setting up their automated devices inside of a blockchain. So they're scanning pieces that are actually pulling the data via IoT, via like RFID tags, things like that. They're actually pulling that information into a blockchain, and that is effectively, as you know, a database, right? Well, you take that and you plug it into any supply chain logistics platform. You can have a custom supply chain blockchain that a retailer is building, and you take something like this and you have them implement the scanners and the different pieces, and then you just have the data points and smart contracts communicate with each other, and then there's no human intervention needed at that point. But it is infrastructure, and this is the biggest piece right here that I think this be something that they seriously will bring to light, or bring to hang on, I'm getting a call. Sorry. Bring to the market here, and I think that it'll actually have some serious impact. here going forward here soon. But yeah,
That's
you're
awesome.
talking about like all the scanning and then things like that.
Yeah. Well, like the thermostat in the truck, right? If there's like a say supply
Yes.
chain, right? The meat truck's delivering meat to the supermarket, and the meat is when you go to buy it is bad. When did it go bad? The
Yep.
guy driving the truck's obviously going to say it was good when he dropped it off. The supermarket's going to obviously say it wasn't when he dropped it off. That
Yep.
device that is monitoring the freezer needs to have no human intervention for human error to occur, and any
100%.
tampering would need to be recorded and submitted to the blockchain immediately.
Right. So that brings up your always connected environment, right? So you think about your cellular connections on every single trailer. That's an investment.
We're beta testing this with Apple AirTags.
Yeah,
Apple AirTags is the best beta test for what is the real shit coming next.
Yeah,
Apple's looking at all of us paying $100 for an AirTag, like the most expensive
like,
beta testers ever. Thank you. Yeah, you're paying us to build the technology. We're going to sell to Teamsters Union, and every trucker is going to have an AirTag and everything.
Yep, this is the way it's going to work, man. And they're going to be able to ping it anywhere in the world. They're going to be able to watch. I mean,
the future pallets are going to have AirTags in the pallets, and I already know warehouses that are using that.
Yeah, that's not even. Then that's just one use case. Like, so I know some stuff that Google X has been working on that that they could find. Well, right now the device is like this big or whatever, but they could find the device within 4 feet of where it's at in a Faraday cage in a bunker.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
They're putting that in the next iPhone, and they're going to give them all away for free.
Pretty much. Check everybody.
What was that? The movie? It was Batman, right? Where Morgan Freeman made the bat sig so Batman could see through all the
wherever,
walls
and it could find it anywhere. Yeah,
that's eventually where they're going to go. Is this? Yeah, instead of Google Street View, there'll be Google Bat View.
Well, so one of the things I know that they're going to be coming up with next is see something like this is my business card, right? It's about this big, and it's literally going to be able to charge itself. It's a smart label. It'll be able to charge itself in a Wi-Fi field or a 5G field or whatever. And then ever so often, once it's got a big enough charge, it's a programmable label. It'll ping where it's at, what it is, all the information that's inside of it, and then it'll recharge itself and then ping again. And that'll be the new UPC or the new way that people check out, because you can literally you'll be able.
There goes the cashier's job.
Well, that's already gone with the self-checkout stuff for the most part. Now they're already prepared.
At least there's like a hall monitor for it, right?
Yeah, guess you'll still have to have
get rid of that.
Door monitors. Yeah, well, there'll be door monitors. They'll have to walk through.
Yeah, the security guard, I think, but that'll be it.
Yep. That's what's coming though, man. All the big ticket items, I think they'll probably still won't do that. I mean, stores will still probably not want to. But yeah, this is where I've always felt from the moment I realized what blockchain was and I started mining. I was like, all of a sudden, like this type of world is kind of what we're kind of talking about here. This is where we're going to end up going, and I can't wait, because think about what humanity will be able to do when we're not sitting there worried about where something is at when it comes to the merchandise inside of a store. Think about what a business will be able to do and go and achieve whenever it comes to not having to deal with their inventory, wondering where it's at.
Imagine if baby formula was on a public ledger so we could see the supply chain as is in real time.
Yep. Be able to track it, that it's been going to the southern border and then the Ukraine and all the other crap like that. There's so much stupid stuff happening right now. It's actually kind of maddening.
Yeah, but there's so much money being made on it being broken. It's at this point, a lot of the times where the innovation isn't a solution to anything, because the solution is profit loss. So it's sort of self-defeating to evolve. Yeah, it exactly like the medical system. It's self-defeating for them to innovate or get better, right? If they got better, in our opinion, better, which would mean cheaper, they would be. So it's not in their benefit. You know, unfortunately, a lot of the supply chain, the stuff that falls off the back of the truck, that's not a bug. It's a feature.
That is a feature. So this will completely that little idea. If it falls off the back of the truck, they'll be able to find it in whoever's house.
If they don't just rip the tags off and leave the tags in the truck, though, right?
Not if it's integrated inside of the, let's say, the refrigerator or the iPad.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
see
but
where I'm
people
getting
already
that?
scratch VIN numbers off of their cars. You think they're not
Yep.
gonna just,
I don't know. I don't know. They will figure out a way to integrate it into whatever it is that by taking it apart, it would effectively destroy it, kind of thing. Now, the only way to deactivate it is to pay for it, and then it hits the blockchain. Is this smart label paid for? Yes, it
yeah,
is.
you're right.
It
You're right, because Apple
deactivates.
already does this. Because if you
Yep.
break your iPhone camera and try to put in a camera you buy off eBay or something, even though it works and it's the right camera, if it didn't come from their store and they didn't give it that little piece of software that goes into it, your
Yep.
phone just stops working.
Precisely.
Yeah,
It's the
that's like
same
the
thing.
kind of right to repair may actually help and hurt innovation in that sense, and that's a lot of the
Sure.
things too, is regulation prevents a lot of this, which is a bummer because it could take a decade just to have a law written in a way to where it could take another decade to be voted on.
Yeah, I know. The regulatory stuff, especially when it comes to blockchain and anything crypto, is always it's definitely one that's bugged the crap out of me. And realistically, because all of this stuff, even Bitcoin, even Litecoin, even stupid Dogecoin, all of these things are actual technology first. So you're telling me that they're trying to regulate technology when they have no jurisdiction to do so. And when it comes to anything around this, like we were talking about here, do we want regulation for a blockchain that's already has inherent in I can't say this word um, built in uh, uh, regulatory. It's already regulated, built in regulation, built in. Whatever. Wow, I need more coffee.
Integrated regulation.
Integrated it's built in regulation. Thank you. Just doing it. Blockchain is already a regulated system. You can't regulate an already regulated system, and in my mind at
Right.
least.
It regulates itself, self-regulation. It's in the
Precisely.
code. The code is law. Protocol is law.
That is how they need to start
Everything
realizing.
else is just a rule, honestly.
Yeah.
You can't like you can't really break. You can't. No, you can't. Okay, yeah, you can't break the law in blockchain because you can't break protocol. You can fork it and create your own
Yep.
multiverse of a utopia and apply
Yep.
your own, but you're not breaking any protocols on chain. So you can't even break the law on blockchain. All you can do
Precisely.
is have rules out externally around how you utilize it, and those can't be called laws. You have to call them rules because the ability to not follow them outweighs any repercussion weight of doing the opposite. Same thing to like piracy. You don't see people going to prison for downloading Metallica albums anymore. They
Nope.
tried that route and it didn't work. And they're going to attempt that route, I think, with blockchain, but they're going to realize it doesn't work. And the concept of man-made law when it comes to technology will just go out the window. The law will be in the technology, and the rules externally around those will have repercussions, but it won't be as severe as they're trying to perpetuate them today by, they
Oh, it's
used
just
to, downloading a movie was like $1 million fine and 10 years in prison. And now you might get a slow down speed from your internet service provider for a week to punish you.
that's it. Maybe if that.
Yeah, maybe.
If that. And most of the time, it doesn't even do that. Realistically, I mean, they can see kind of where it goes, but if you're using a VPN or if you're using I know of other ways to get around all that, but that's
Even
not something
VPNs are actually not doing their jobs anymore. If you're using a VPN in certain countries to mine Bitcoin, even the VPNs are cutting you off. It's kind of scary.
Well, that's kind of one of the thing that's kind of being in I've been in IT for more than 20 years, like and knowing how this stuff works inside and out, kind of thing. I've had many people like, do you use a VPN to do your crypto transactions? And I'm like, no, not unless I'm in a public location. And then they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, because I'm on a trusted network in my house that I configured and I built, and all I'm doing is putting a regulator, if you will, on my pipe, trying to do that, and all it is point to point. Everything in between
Yep.
is messed up. If they're watching on the send and they're watching on the receive, they can still see what you're doing. It doesn't matter. So all it does is protect you from man in the middle, or it picks you up and virtually puts you inside of another location. So like if you're inside of an enterprise, you're literally logging into that network to be able to access on network only resources. That's the only two things for a blockchain that makes sense. Or sorry, a VPN that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's why, like you mentioned, like they can cut you off. It doesn't do anything. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, I mean they're still data mining you in case they get subpoenaed for anything. They're going to hand it right over, especially if you're using an American-based VPN. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. What we're looking at is a potential virtual revolution. Weirdly enough, like I know that there's a real world revolution and potential war even cooking up, but it's
Unfortunately,
also
yeah.
coinciding with a digital war that has been brewing for a long time, and there hasn't been an ability to fund the resistance in this digital war until now. And now that the virtual side of this battle has funding,
Monetary too.
uh, yeah, dude,
We get a whole creature from
it's
Jekyll Island thing, the Federal Reserve. This brings sovereignty back to the individual, and if the nation wants to, national sovereignty, because the whole like El Salvador is a perfect example. I mean, in this week they had 44 different countries slash central bankers or whatever ministers or whatever finance from all these different countries come in and meet with them and how to adopt a Bitcoin and how to make it legal tender. How are they doing this and what is the ramifications of it? And they're like, wait, we don't have to have the IMF breathing down our throats anymore. We don't have to have uh, uh, the central banking system be beholden to them and what they say we can and can't do with the money that we have to borrow from them because, well, we can't transact in anything else but the dollars, et cetera, et cetera. Now we can actually
Well,
go and
everybody wants this when
yeah,
things are going good in a bull run, but in a bear market or in liquidity, issues, there's everybody wants the regulations when they want their asses saved,
yep,
instead of
every time.
so I think there might be regulations that may be
That's
more catered for repercussions rather than deterrence. So instead of regulating you to do something or regulating something to prevent you from doing it, I think how it is executed will be regulated with rules, again, not laws, out after the fact. So it will be more repercussion regulation, not preventative regulation, because that's what we have now. We have regulations that scare and deter any involvement in a space due to the involvement being regulated. I think it'll be execution, repercussion based regulations to where if you have a suable CEO or a named foundation, a company that can be subpoenaed in, it'll all be done, but it will be done through blockchain protocols and smart contracts,
sure.
not through the FBI kicking in a front door.
Well, that's kind of why one of the big things I was an early adopter of EOS or EOS, and I was big on that one mainly because, well, they actually built a constitution into their blockchain. They set
That's
it up.
awesome.
They set it up so that way the validators and whatnot had to abide by those rules, and if they did not abide by those rules, there were certain ramifications or whatever that took place by that, and then they were kicked out or removed, and then there was a voting process to who could be next, kind of thing. And they actually built that into their ecosystem. It actually has an,
That's
they
awesome.
call it an actual constitution. Dan Larimer, I think, is who was a big part
That
of
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, yes, I think you've met him at some point or another.
Yeah, I actually met him when he was just like, dude, I have the funniest memory of meeting Dan for the first time because I've met him 3 times. Dude, the first time I met him, I was at Consensus in New York City. I think it was like 2016 or 2017. And I was just walking around and he was standing. There were so many booths, so many people, and he was standing at a booth by himself and nobody was talking to him. And I didn't really know who he was at the time. So I just like walked up and I was just like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, oh, I'm like, oh, you're the dude. Like, what the fuck? Nobody's talking to him.
Yeah,
It was like, what was it, BitShares or whatever at the time?
yeah. Uh-huh.
I was like, nobody's talking to the BitShares guy. I was like, dude, I was talking to this dude about DeFi in 2017 or whatever before Uniswap and shit. I was like, it's all thanks to you. So yeah, it makes sense that he's involved in this.
Yeah, he built EOS. I don't know what he's working on right now. He left Block One, and I haven't. He set up Stream. Is it Stream or Steam, which is supposed to be? It's kind of like
Yeah, he sold that.
He sold that. He sold EOS, and
Well,
I
he
don't
exits
know.
Everything. He builds things and he exits
Well, that's
and
what
builds
good
things
people.
and exits.
That's what good builders are. The only reason I think EOS didn't really catch on is because they did not do anything with marketing. EOS, the more it's used, the faster it gets. That's by design. It's a distributed proof of stake, which is it's been adopted in some other platforms, but very
Well, the
few.
SEC investigation hindered them pretty hard, dude. They did a year-long ICO, and they had a year-long investigation after that. And I think
Yep.
they only lost like 2% or something of their ICO funds to
Yeah.
the lawsuit. It was like they
It was
raised
not.
like $4 billion, and I think they paid like 20 to 30 at the most $1 million. So it's not like they were hurting for funds at the time. They
No, they
definitely could
were
have done marketing, but the SEC probably told them you can't.
because the system in and of itself, just like the system in and of itself is a competitor to the actual system that they
Yeah.
want to make sure they have control over.
That's
So
why I
that's
don't hate on EOS so much, because I don't know what they were told in those
yeah.
backroom
I don't.
conversations, because they walked away pretty scot-free, bro. Like, honestly,
They
can we
really
all
did.
um this is why I know Ripple and XRP will be absolutely fine. Fine. Ripple ain't going nowhere. XRP is going to be fine. Why? EOS already was like, we did this. They're probably helping them somehow in conversations as we speak. So yeah, EOS went through the door first, and
Yep.
I don't know how they did, but again, give them some leeway on, like, we don't know how, Big Brother's
So
breathing down their back.
it's interesting, a lot of people don't realize this, but Dan had spent some time on Capitol Hill and in DC while Trump was in office. A lot of people don't know that, and I'm kind of curious as to why that was one of the reasons he walked away from EOS is because I'm kind of wondering if there was a whole new system built using the EOS engine to actually capture all the votes accordingly. That's just my conspiracy or my theory, whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of wondering if that was something somewhere was done where it was pulling everything, putting it in a blockchain. They have proof that cannot be deleted, cannot go away, kind of thing, because it's in a blockchain. And kind of in their voting system that they have that he built with their constitution, it's very similar to what we would use today. If you had all of the systems that we go vote with tied into that blockchain on the back end, it would write to the blockchain, and then you still have your paper spin out. You have multiple copies of the same thing.
Right.
You'd have the ballot printed out, but on watermarked ballot paper that was then fed
We
into.
still need better IoT for this, because you can still have dead people voting, unfortunately.
Well, IoT, I would be very careful with IoT on that. IoT devices are very susceptible to being hacked because they're directly connected, unprotected on a network. Usually,
so this is why we have Apple with their little fingerprint ID thing be like the thing we log in to vote with. I wouldn't be
Dude,
against it, because
that's what I've been
FBI
saying.
tried like $1 billion to get into an iPhone, and they couldn't hack a terrorist iPhone.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, let's use Apple for voting, bro. Like they
That's
didn't
why I
even like
tell
cave to
everyone.
the FBI either. It was ethically and morally ubiquitous. Like they took their humanity out, and as a company, we're like, we can't let you in. And like that, and the fact that they still couldn't get in, I would vote with that technology. That's the kind of IoT I'm speaking of.
Okay, that's a little bit different I have been saying this. The next version of voting needs to be on everybody's phone. If you don't have a phone, you can still go to a voting place, but you'll use a device or whatever. Have a push notification sent to the device. It's time to vote.
Oh, you'll be able to use your neighbor's phone to vote. Don't just say knock on your neighbor's door and see if they have a voting device, and you'll be able to use your neighbor's iPhone 10 or whatever. Or yeah, I'm serious. I'm sure.
Well, think about it like with all the KYC, right? So you have to have all the KYC for getting for the most part, for any of the exchanges, right? They know who you are. You have to prove that you are who you say you are. Okay, great. Same format, same formula that has to be taken for voting on a mobile device. It's the same thing. You're just creating a wallet. That's your voting rights. You get to be able to vote through that, and it writes it to a blockchain, and a block that does not change. That is your vote, one person. You're done. That's just I think I kind of wonder if the EOS engine we may surface, if you will, on the back end of whatever that is. I bet you if you went and looked at the GitHub for EOS and then looked at the GitHub or whatever we find out is behind all that, I think we may end up seeing some very interesting things. Did I lose you? Oh, the screen looked like it
No,
froze.
no, no. I'm just like taking it in. Like, yeah.
It would be interesting, dude, for sure. Well, one other thing I was going to ask you real quick, and then I guess we can kind of tie it off as we're kind of at time here for whatnot. I want to.
Oh,
What
we
we were
got
talking
time to chat if
about.
you had more you wanted to talk about. It's totally up to you, bro.
Okay. Um, the shitcoin 2023. Planning on having that same type of thing, or what you got going on with that one coming up next year?
So I am firmly stuck on the name. I know,
That's fair.
I know. You and many other bros are convinced we would see more success otherwise, but I think
Oh, I just don't want to
rebranding.
give the Max. I just don't want to give the Maxis the benefit of coming up with the name for us. That's all. Because there's
Oh no, we're taking the name from them. You know, they didn't give us anything. We
okay.
took it
That's fair.
wholeheartedly, stole it. I mean,
That's fair.
honestly, at this point, I mean, you've been around long enough to know that BTC, the ticker, Bitcoin, is in its own right a shitcoin.
Technically, yes, it is.
Technically, at this point,
Yes.
you know, BCH may be more. You know, so I don't even like that argument, but it starts the argument of Bitcoin is a shitcoin. And it has been saved by shitcoins. At least 3 occasions I can name. Bitcoin Cash developers have fixed exploits in Bitcoin's code. So I don't think the name is something they've given as much as we've taken from them. You know, they're never going to not call anything new a shitcoin. You know, it could be you know, Google coming out with a blockchain in its own. It's going to be called a shitcoin. That's what they're going to call it.
Because it's not Bitcoin.
Right,
And that's
exactly. And even Bitcoin's not Bitcoin. So at
not
shitcoin,
anymore. No.
we just want to use that terminology and use it as more of a term of endearment and get people
Okay.
more excited about creation rather than deterred from creation, right? You know,
Okay.
if everybody was afraid they were going to give, you know, birth to the next Ted Bundy, you know, who would be excited about having kids? And I feel like that's what everybody feels like when they're a developer and they're building a blockchain. They might be the next BitConnect. Well, you don't know if you're going to be the next BitConnect or the next Ethereum until you at least try. And even
Right.
Ethereum is a shit coin. So
Yeah.
I want people to, you know, when they run into those maximalists in those environments, you know, which are unfortunately the media thought leaders in this space, even
They
those
are very much so.
promoting. And
They
a lot of those
really are.
people called Bitcoin a scam for a decade, and now everything is a scam but Bitcoin, right? And I think that'll
Well, that's
last another decade.
well, that's you speak about. They're the media heads in the space, right? Well, like for me, like being in this space as long as I haven't met anyone yet. I know who some of the people are, but I haven't met anyone yet who's been in this space as long as I have. The main reason I came out and started doing the shows outside of my wife saying you really need to do this because it was starting to really, really irritate me listening to all these talking heads talk about just Bitcoin being the maxis, and they're leaving out the fact that projects like Polygon, projects like Divi, projects like we're talking about EOS, these are actual businesses solving real world problems, just like the Kevin O'Leary's of the world who are going out there and they're buying into these businesses solving a problem. It's no different, except it is a technology first, and then it has a monetary aspect to it. They're monetized tokens, and it's one of those things where it was just really irritating me. So I started doing the shows as an OG, if you will, in the space, and somebody who's got a technical background and can look at this at just about every angle, literally, and actually have a full understanding. Like I can read the code and tell you what it's going to do, that kind of stuff. I hate coding, by the way, but I can read it, I understand it, and whatnot. But coming out and being one of the I feel like I'm one of the very few who've been in this space as long as I have, sitting here going, "Hey, Maxis, you got it wrong. We're both right. You're not.
Yep.
You realize you're not wrong on Bitcoin. Great for Bitcoin. You're not wrong at all, but you're dead wrong on you're leaving major money on the table by not ignoring these other projects. I mean, think about the Divi project alone. They're making crypto easy for everyone. I can actually go stand
Which
up
is better for Bitcoin.
precisely. I can go and build a masternode with one click. Well, not one click, but a couple clicks. I stood up a Dash master node or whatever it was called, a validator node, back whenever it first launched. Dude, it took me like 2 months because I
Yeah,
was
I
just
had enough
floating
dash to
alone.
do it, and it was so hard. I just sold my dash. I was like, I can't maintenance this. This is
That
high
was the
maintenance with high risk. Like if I fuck up, it's gone. Like it's all on
that was
me.
the I sold the node because the maintenance alone was driving me nuts, just trying to make sure that I wasn't going to screw something up and just sit there and go,
Yeah.
well,
When I
there it
saw
goes.
dash take off, I was just like, well, good for everybody who suffered through that.
Yeah, same here. I mean,
Yeah, and
same
shout
here.
out to Divvy for making everyone's lives easier. But yeah,
Yeah, dude,
it's altcoins bring more value to Bitcoin than Bitcoin brings value to Bitcoin.
it does.
Bitcoin doesn't have boots on the
It's all
ground like
right.
these
All it
altcoins
is,
do with their foundations.
right. All it is, all Bitcoin is a means of storing value and transferring value. Divvy, all these other projects, they're building solutions. Think about
They're
Polygon.
Bitcoin's customer support, if you think about it.
There you
Like, who are
go.
you gonna call? Like,
Yeah,
call somebody I could. All right, I'm gonna. If I'm in a Bitcoin ATM, I'll call the coin flip guys or whatever, right? Because like these are the companies and projects that are making Bitcoin. Bet nobody takes from. There's no such thing as taking from Bitcoin.
right.
There's
This
only
is
providing value to it.
precisely. Now you got to think about, like, I think about all these different projects that are out there and they're getting dumped on by these people. When I was at Bitcoin 2022, Kevin O'Leary was having a conversation, almost an argument, with Mark Moss on stage.
I love
They were
Mark.
doing.
I love Mark.
He's a different kind of guy. He's a different kind of guy. He he and I haven't gotten along so well. So I have well,
Oh,
but
he
we
was
also
gonna kick
haven't got
someone's ass for me in Vegas. I got kicked out
nice,
of a conference, and he
nice.
was about to kick his ass. I was like, "Nah, we don't all need to get kicked out."
Yeah, yeah. No, he. I just haven't had time to get to know him. He hasn't had time to get to know me. Just haven't, you know.
Yeah, we
Anyway,
use we get along. I know it might be like that. The internet like filter between like the person kind of thing, but I know in person, if you got to sit down and like, chill, you would get along because we get along.
sure, sure. Well, I if I get the opportunity, I can't wait. It would be fantastic. I would absolutely love that. I'd love to have him on the show or go on his show or whatever. It'd be kind of just to have a
But
conversation.
sorry, as I digress, you.
You're good though. You're good, bro. So I forgot what I was saying. Anyways,
Well, I've had something on my side burner I've been sitting on for probably like 5 minutes since you were talking, and I
go
wanted to
for it.
bring up like the analogy of, it would be as ridiculous of an argument for, the maximalists versus, shitcoins, which is like everything, right? Because an altcoin would be an alternative to Bitcoin, and there is no such thing. So, imagine this level of fandom between HTML and Java and this level
Yeah, it's a really good.
of perspective on innovation and what's what and like where would we be if we were only using C plus or only using Java,
Nowhere.
or yeah, exactly, bro. And that's
You
what I
have
mean.
to
Like,
have it
where
all.
would Web 2 internet be with only Java or only HTML or only C plus? It wouldn't be
It
here.
wouldn't
We wouldn't
exist. It
even be able to
wouldn't.
do this fucking call without two
Right.
or three different
Yeah.
scripts talking to each other right now. So,
Easily.
like, to
That's
think Bitcoin's
unreal.
mainstream adoption is possible without similar interactions with similar protocols, side chaining. Yeah, this is again. I know we're going to segue in. And this is a perfect segue into Polygon and
Yep.
why these alternatives are like why Bitcoin will survive. Bitcoin can't survive on its own because you can't build this on Bitcoin. I'm over
No.
Rootstock, by the way. I don't think anybody even talks about them anymore, but we ain't
Yeah.
getting smart contracts on Bitcoin. I'm over it.
Nope. No, you can't. It doesn't work. They need to stop. This is
Yeah,
where
they
you
do.
got to
They're
have it,
wasting
right?
so much resources.
They really are. You look at Polygon and what they've actually solving. A lot of people don't realize this. They tout themselves as the layer 2 for Ethereum. No one realizes they are also a layer 1, and they have been taking the lion's share over the past several months of the
Yes, they
net new
have.
dApps. The net new dApps are going here. They're being built here, and they're not going away. The solutions that they're bringing, like we talked about prior to the show, is the zero knowledge cryptography, where you can write a block without needing to know who the sender or the receiver is, stuff like that. That is huge. And especially the stuff what they're doing with like Nightfall, the identity management stuff, like in enterprises alone, is huge piece of security related stuff here that no one's even realized is going to be tapped into. There will be retailers and industry, whatever, merchants globally banging down Polygon's door to get access to this alone, this one feature alone, let alone all this other pieces that they have here. Like their EVM is pretty much, it is impressive. I've built a Polygon validator. The in everything underneath the hood there, it is one of the most robust engines I have ever seen with any of these environments. And just from an infrastructure standpoint alone, they know what they're doing, and they're actually bringing solutions to the world. And it's like you said, this, circling back here, brings value back to Bitcoin and back to the adoption of this sovereignty, if you will, bringing it sovereignty back to the supply chains, sovereignty back to people having ideas in the business and wanting to own that idea, kind of thing, whatever you want to call it. It is
Yep.
absolutely phenomenal stuff. Like, I'm still digging into all the new things that they're actually in development with right now.
When I see stuff like this, I get excited for the exploits and like the brute forces, or like the security
I used
tests.
to do pen testing.
When zero knowledge is awesome, but I don't know if it's Chainalysis proof. If they're constantly pinging wallets at a rate the same of the transactions using Chainalysis, you'd be able to at least guess within a window of exactly who sent what to where because of pinging balances. So like even zero knowledge, I don't know if it's Chainalysis proof.
So it may not be, and at the end of the day, if you're thinking about from an enterprise, I don't know if they necessarily care. I think they're going to care if it's public. If you want to protect your clients or your customers' data and whatnot, you got to figure out how to way secure that. Zero knowledge may work, but at the end of the day, realistically, I actually kind of don't know if it will, because, like you said, if you're hitting the wallets enough, you'll end up figuring out approximately what's in the blocks, approximately what's going on through there. You got to think about something like the Ghost protocol. If you're going to start doing this kind of stuff,
exactly.
if you implemented the Ghost protocol, you'd be perfectly fine. For those of you who don't know what the Ghost protocol is, basically your transaction goes through the entire Tor network, gets sharded across the entire Tor network, which is already sharded, and then shows up on the other end completely. No one knows what anything happened. Transaction happens, send completely. No one knows anything. It is completely anonymous. And that
I still think they
protocol,
should have called it Tumblr, like the app Tumblr.
Yeah,
Tumblr, because it's a Tumblr. It's a built-in Tumblr, basically, which is something Rootstock and everybody were talking about Bitcoin having forever and a day ago, and still doesn't have.
I don't know if they're going to innovate. Bitcoin in and of itself, it was first to market like Ethereum was first to market. They're dinosaurs effectively in this space, and it's, as much as I hate to say it, but it is. And if Ethereum doesn't shit or get off the pot, basically, then you're going to end up. They basically have a family feud going on. I know some of the developers who are working in there, like, man, this is rough.
That's why Polygon's sitting on like a win-win situation. Honestly, it's so funny, and I've been saying this for a while. It's like, well, as far as everyone on Ethereum's a fan of Polygon, you do realize like they're kind of eating your lunch and you're smiling while they're doing it, right? Like a lot. Like it took a while for some of the NFT people to realize what was happening when Polygon was really taking over the NFT space with the transaction fees, but they've noticed the liquidity on Ethereum on chain has completely migrated to Polygon. There goes, where'd all the Ethereum volume go? Where'd all the trans? It's on sidechain. It's on Polygon. And like you said, if Ethereum doesn't shit or get off the pot, Polygon's just gonna eat up all the lunch. It's like all you can eat.
It already is. I've got people that I know who are building the dApps that are out there. They're actually saying, okay, how hard would it be for me to actually change this from Ethereum over to Polygon? And I'm like, just use a bridge.
It's a click. It's not that hard now. They've built bridges for so many of these protocols that already exist is a bridge away from just working. Like imagine building an Apple app and hitting a button and it's already made for Android. It's pretty much like that.
That would be amazing.
I've built apps for both, and if you've ever built an app for either one, you know that that's worse than apples to oranges, because you can actually compare those. Apples to Android is a way better analogy for that.
There you go.
But yeah,
Man,
man, I'm looking forward to seeing what these side chains do on their own. A lot of them start off, I mean, EOS, Wax, I mean, BNB, a lot of projects start on Ethereum and decide to build their own roads. So
at least
you
they
get,
did. One of the cool things I like about Divi, just kind of circling back to them real quick, is they didn't. I don't think they didn't launch on Ethereum. They went and just built from the ground up. Now they're I know that they're working on creating a bridge over to Ethereum so that they can do ERC20 support, but they're going kind of the other way around. I think the platforms that don't use
well, they
Ethereum
were
initially,
smart because they would have killed. Divi would be dead in gas fees if they did it the other way around, bro. Like every
precisely,
other project that we probably had love for that did not survive was
it's
because they
because of the
built on
gas fee.
Ethereum and the gas fees ate away the business profit until it was dead.
Yep, that is how. That is why Polygon is such a big deal for these
Mm-hmm.
developers because, or like the NFT space. Like when I literally got into Polygon. I want to say like 3 or 4 days after it was launched, because I would say it took me about 3 or 4 days to dig into who they were, what they were going to do, and then I actually just put a chunk in and have chilled on it forever. And it once I figured out what they were, who they were, it was one of those holy cow moments. And then whenever they built their app, their wallet for the phones, one of the tabs was NFT. I was like, what the heck is that? No one knew what it was. They knew what it was. They had the foresight to go ahead and start building the infrastructure for it. And if I'm not mistaken, they are one of the first, if not the first, in the NFT space. And having that entire space grow is just beautiful to watch. This is absolutely beautiful to watch.
It was a renaissance while it lasted.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, bro, I have another meeting here in about 5 minutes. I need to get prepared for. So, been absolutely a wonderful, amazing chat with you, dude. I would love to do these. I'd love to continue all night if I had time. So,
Yeah, I
love.
could. If you ever want to come on my podcast, Calendly. So it's calendar, but get rid of the last two. You know, you want LY Calendly.
Yeah, no, I've got it Calendly set up for other stuff, but I also have I have a whole website set up. It has its own booking stuff, and I'm already paying for that. So I'm like, I
I
need
like
to build.
Calendly for it ties into everything for like podcasting. So like they get the Zoom link for the call or the Hangout or whatever you're using. The link goes right to them, so it's already in their emails. You don't have to send them the link for the
Sure,
call.
sure.
And yeah, it's like really
Yeah,
cool.
man.
But anyway, yeah, man, I'd love to have you on the show, talk some more, man,
Appreciate
and
it.
hopefully you visit Miami sometime soon. You can vibe
Yeah,
out.
yeah. May not, might not be too far out. I'll let you know though. I'll keep you posted.
All right,
So,
well, hurricane season's coming soon, so
so
sooner or later.
you'll be above my neck of the woods. You mean? Get away.
Yeah, probably. Exactly.
Cool, bro. All right, man. You have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Shout out to everyone on Patreon. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a
Yeah.
day.
See ya.
Bye.